And after all, why shouldn't we believe that? We are Americans.
Landon Donovan, there are things on here for the USA. Can they do it here? Cross, and Dempsey's denied again, and Donovan has scored!
What are we doing? What are we doing?
What are you guys going to do? You're going to continue to be a bunch of soft, underperforming, tattooed millionaires? That includes you two wonderfuls.
And after all, why shouldn't we believe that?
All right, guys. We've gone from Tim Howard to Zach Steffen, from Jeff Cameron to Serginho Des, from Nagby to McKinney, from Dempsey to Pulisic, from Altidore to Sargent.
Hopefully Daryl DK someday.
It's been a long, I don't know how many years now, but it looks like they're back. Welcome to the first episode of Return of the Yanks. We're going to talk.
Return of the Yanks.
I didn't think that happened a lot sooner than I thought it would.
Been on my mind all day, man.
It didn't happen soon enough for me.
We should have started with that.
I started with that.
I think there might be some copyright issues with making that our intro, but we'll look into it. I don't think
not if we cover it. If we sing about the topics that we're about to cover as part of the song.
There it is.
All gravy.
Loophole.
But then
Loophole, baby.
Before we really dive into this, I like to do this a lot, for NAG, but take a moment, look around you, think about it for a second. How good does it feel to be able to look at your national team and be like, you know what? Not bad at all. Gives you a sense of hope, right? Especially when you think back to how things ended up last time on some swampy field in Trinidad and Tobago with the guys just looking like deers lost in the headlights.
Like deer getting carried over some puddles.
Now, we got a long path ahead of us, of course. But first things first, right? We have a really interesting friendly coming up, and then some really interesting games too.
But before we go that far, so it's gonna be the first time for everybody listening to Return of the Yanks, where we're going to talk all things U.S. men's national team for now. I'm sure later when other tournaments come up for the youth teams and the women's, we'll get into that as well. So my name is Eddie. I'll be your host for most shows. We've got Willus in here.
Yo.
We got Edgar.
What's up?
And if you don't know him yet, the very famous Mr. Dave Orona.
Hey!
Nice.
I'm going to make that awkward for you, right? That's why I say.
I'm glad nobody knows me, so that way it's it just falls flat and it's done.
I like your flag there, boy.
I don't know if we can say boy anymore. Like it's a little.
Reminds me of my shack in West Virginia, back in my old coal mining days.
You guys want to make it past episode 1? You guys need to relax.
You guys want to see the bombs I'm working on?
Good.
Whoa!
Smell the moonshine from here.
Talking about my beer bong.
All right,
cool. So you guys are
warmed up.
Yeah, you guys are warmed up.
Just warming up.
Okay, we've come a long way, and I think not just on a national team level, but just like club level.
And he's going up against
Christian Pulisic. I mean,
Wonder Boy.
Dude, just to get Pulisic on the stat sheet, Zach Steffen. Well, I don't think Zach Steffen would start, but he should just lay down and just let him take it. It's not like City wants the Champions League, anyways.
You think Zach Steffen has a say in any of that?
Zach Stefanovic.
Maybe.
Sorry.
You don't. Well, no. Ederson's the number 1, so no, he has no say in it.
No, he has no say in it. He's there too, guys.
Yeah.
He's like he's
one of
like
those,
when
he's there too. Oh, that's him.
he's like when I'm at work and everybody's lifting all this heavy stuff and I'm holding the cable out of the way to make sure that it doesn't trips on it, and I'm like, I'm helping.
Morning of the game, you hear Ederson slipped and fell in the tub. Zach Steffen gets the call.
Oh my god. All right. So pretty crazy, right? It's who'da thunk it, right? Those are like honestly things that you dreamt about as a U.S. fan. You know, all these trophies. You would always say, especially like someone like me that grew up in where Mexico was the team. You know, they just it would never happen. Things like that would never happen, but you'd always kind of dream it, and we're there. We're on our way there, and even
We're always told it would never happen.
Yeah. And come Saturday, there will be another American Champions League winner, which is going to be pretty dope.
Yeah, and if it ends up being Chelsea and Pulisic, and he actually gets on the field and makes a significant contribution, we can finally knock
Jovan
Karofsky off of that pedestal as the only player.
I don't even know if people know he's up there.
Yeah. I mean, the super US soccer nerds know that it's Jovan Karofsky with Borussia Dortmund, who won it. I don't know, in the 90s at some point, right?
Yeah, I think it was 95, something like that.
Yeah. Now we have players that are making really good contributions to their teams, and Zach Steffen.
And Zach Steffen. That's fucked up. But all right, that's
being the keeper's hard, man.
I mean,
being keeper's hard.
Yeah, being a keeper's hard. I agree. That's tough.
It's a tough career.
Well, lucky for him, U.S. keepers play till they're like 100. So
true.
I think he'll be okay. But anyways, moving on. Long way, guys. Long way, and we're getting close, inching so much closer to those qualifiers. Getting a look at what our potential World Cup team is going to look like, or at least the team that's going to try to help us qualify. So the U.S. announced their Nations Cup? Sorry, Nations League. Nations League. I was so close. Nations League roster. Goalkeepers, they took Ethan, I'm going to mess it up again, Horvath. Close enough. From Club Bruges. Thank you.
Bruges.
David Ochoa from Real Salt Lake. Zach Stefanovic from Manchester City. Helping with this one, John
Brooks.
Oh, okay. John Brooks from Wolfsburg. The Reggie Cannon. Oh, man.
From FC Dallas?
Yeah, FC Dallas. Boavista. Serginho.
I believe he was with Colorado Rapids before he went to Boavista.
Right? I think he's something like that. Something crazy.
Wait, what? Really?
I think so.
No.
Serginho Dest from Barcelona. Mark McKenzie from Genk. Matt Miazga from Anderlecht. Tim Ream with Fulham. Boo. Sorry, Edgar. Anthony Robinson with Fulham as well. DeAndre Yedlin from Galatasaray. Midfielders, Kenan Acosta from Colorado. Tyler Adams from Red Bull Lisbon.
Leipzig.
Leipzig. Okay.
Leipzig.
See, this is why I need you guys. Back in the days, all I had to pronounce was Wizards and Metro Stars.
Dude, if you can pronounce all the
Orange
Pokemon,
County,
you should not have
San
problems.
Diego.
Sebastian Legend from the LA Galaxy. Weston McKinney from Juventus. Yunus Musa from Valencia. Jackson Ewell from San Jose. Forward Brandon Aronson from Red Bull Salzburg. Christian Pulisic from Chelsea. Gio Reyna from Borussia Dortmund. Josh Sargent from Wonder Bremen. Jordan, tell me out here.
Werder Bremen.
Ciao.
Thank you. From Young Boys, and Tim Weah from Lille, France.
Lille.
So,
Lille.
yeah.
Lily, baby.
Yeah. All right.
I'm gonna stick to Lily.
Yeah, I'll stick to Lily too. Thanks, Willis. All right, guys. I know you guys, we talked about it before. I know Dave is like itching. Snubs. Who shouldn't be there?
I mean, look, you want to talk about snubs. You want to talk about snubs. I'm looking at the forward line. Now, I'll even give you. No, honestly, I was gonna say I might give you one from each position, but no, I'm looking at my notes and I have 3 forwards here. Daryl DK, which we all are expecting he's gonna make a move to either the Barnsley move is going to be permanent or he's going to go somewhere else, and that's probably why he's not getting called into this team. But I expected him to be there. He'll probably be around for the Gold Cup. Matthew Hoppe, who started out really hot and then kind of disappeared. But then he came back and scored a couple of goals. I think probably like 2-3 weeks ago. And look, guys, I'll be honest with you. I wrote this name down and I kind of scratched my head. But do you think Chelsea Zardes should be there over like Josh Sargent?
That was one of my snubs. Actually, was Josh Zardes.
Not because he's a better forward, but because I think he fits in Berhalter's system better than Sargent does.
Yep, and that's the reason why I mean, at least for me, he was one of the snubs. And like you said, not so much for him being better than all the other forwards. It's just familiarity with Berhalter and his system. So
yeah, they know.
I think that was one. Yeah.
And then what do you guys think about Christian Roldan? Why didn't he get called into this team? I mean, I know the midfield is already stacked, but they also got Sebastian Legend and Jackson Ewell. You know, why not bring in Roldan? He's been killing it for the Sounders.
I'm gonna sound like a total hater when it comes to Roldan, and I know one of my co-hosts from NAG.
To go to school,
one of my co-hosts from NAG can attest to this, and this is one thing that used to bug me about the U.S. Those players that were like Brian Ching, that is like Wando, that is Roldan. You know, they ball out with their clubs, but then they put on that jersey and it's like it's too heavy for them or something. And I kind of like that I kind of like the fact that he didn't get called for that reason. But at the same time, you mentioned Yassi getting the snub. Yassi hasn't been the worst with the U.S., but I actually like Sargent. But I agree with you guys. I don't think Sargent's done anything to earn it, and it's kind of like just because you play here, you get to come to camp, which it's totally unfair.
Yeah, some of it.
I can tell you guys something.
No, go ahead, Edgar.
Okay. You know, we're focusing so much on the Nations League. You have to remember that Berhalter has to put together 2 lineups this summer. One for actually, the Nations League's technically in spring, but you know, it feels like a summer tournament. But then we have the Gold Cup, and then we have qualifying. I have a feeling that we're going to see DK and Zardes and even Roldan in the Gold Cup because you're going to want to get as many of those players some experience. And you know how the Gold Cup is. You play that first round, and then you can swap out some players and bring in some other guys in. So it'll be an opportunity to see those guys. So you might not see them right now. I'm pretty sure, he's looking at them, and, it'll be interesting to see how Zardes is, in mid-season form, because MLS season is still kind of, it's off and well, but it's still kind of at the beginning, as evidenced by our performance in the Champions League. But I expect those guys to be there. Meanwhile, a lot of the guys that are on this roster, their season is already wrapping up or already ended, and they're definitely in form, and so they're coming in, all guns blazing. So it'll be I think we're definitely gonna see those guys later on, but for right now, we're seeing these guys. I think Sargent is a good enough forward that although his team got demoted to Bundesliga 2, that he's gonna find a way to end up on the team back in Bundesliga 1. So that's one of the reasons I think. And like you said, Eddie, you said, he played here, but hey, you know what? At the end of the day, he does play there. He plays in that kind of an environment, and he's a serviceable forward, and he's gonna end up playing for a team at that caliber in the Bundesliga eventually.
So over under on whether or not Josh Sargent ends up in a Bundesliga side or with Cincinnati.
I think he stays in the Bundesliga. I think he has a lot more.
He has more talent than that. Come on, he's more than a serviceable forward. I feel. I think he can be a above average striker.
I like him. I like him a lot. Yeah, I just
think he's young. I think he's young and he's still learning how to play the forward position. But as far as the physical attributes and the eye for goal, I think he has it.
Yeah. Isn't that one of the big gaps in terms of the way the U.S. plays, or the players that the U.S. has been producing, is they haven't really produced a forward the likes of Brian McBride or
they were really gritty. They were tough as hell, and it didn't matter who the hell they were playing. They hit the field with a fearless attitude, and sometimes they got blown off the field. But sometimes they did some incredible things, like when they beat Argentina in the Copa America. They took out Mexico in that same tournament, and they eventually lost to Brazil in a very difficult game. But that tournament is just an example of how gritty that team is, and we haven't seen a player like that in a while, which is why Alexi Lalas made that comment not too long ago, where he said, a bunch of soft tattooed millionaires, because he came. I mean, say what you want about Lalas, but he came from that generation of players that were known first and foremost for how tough they were, how our word thing is grit, and they gave you everything. They left everything on the field every time. We haven't seen that in a while. However, having watched a lot of the guys that we have in our roster now, especially in the younger squads, they have some of that in them. They have some of that fire in them. And then the one thing that's really important right now, they have so much talent, they have so much skill, they have so much potential. It's now stoking that fire and seeing how far it can go. Because if the guys that we had in the past had this kind of skill and talent, oh my God, we would have had a World Cup already. Facts.
No, I agree with that, and that's funny because Lalas just pisses me off sometimes. But you look at that, you're absolutely right.
You look at those days, and like that was the US's identity, and I think a lot of that got lost in the mid 2000s when Jurgen Klinsmann came into the fold. I don't want to start a big argument here. I'm just going to say this part is that I feel like when Klinsmann came in, they strayed so far away from what the US had always been. It was like grit out a bunch of games. Even under Bob Bradley, it was like that. Grit out the game, get a goal, defend for your life, and get the hell out. And we lost that when Klinsmann came in. I don't know if Berhalter's the guy to bring that back. You have these players who are playing for some of the most, some prestigious clubs. You got 2 players in the Champions League final. You got another player playing, with one of the highest rated players to ever play the game, as one of his teammates. And I don't know if these guys have that grit. You know what I mean? Like they're used to playing on these manicured perfect fields. I want to see what they're going to do in Honduras. I want to see what they're going to do when they have to play Guatemala or El Salvador at their homes. That's going to be the real test. That's going to be the proving ground for me to see how these players go. I don't want to see them play in Tennessee or in Switzerland or in, you know what I mean? Or in Concord. I want to see them play on the dirt.
Well, here's my argument about Berhalter.
Definitely bridges the gap, Eddie. You know why? He was on that World Cup. I was just reminding myself, he was on that World Cup 2002 team that defied all logic, that conceivably, when you look back, and I still, this keeps me up at night, they could have made it all the way to the final, I feel. They just ran into some real shady officiating in that game against Germany, and but Greg Berhalter was part of that team, and that team still had guys that kicked ass, like we said earlier, McBride, Mathis, and Mastroeni, Brad Friedel. So he understands that. He knows that feeling, and I really hope and pray that he can find a way to bottle that attitude and that swagger and make these guys drink it every day, so that they have that in their system when they hit the field against some of those Central American teams, especially in such hostile environments like Costa Rica and Honduras, El Salvador. So,
and first off, Edgar, you must be living a great life. The fact that's what keeps you up at night.
Oh, it's one of many things that keep you up at night.
No, but
Edgar's like that meme where his wife's looking at him going like, oh, he's thinking about other women. And he's like, fuck. If Tustin Frings wouldn't have
no, you got it wrong. It would have been like, now he's there, he's laying there like, man, if VAR was around in 2002.
No era penal.
It wouldn't have been clear and obvious, Eddie.
Right. No.
Oh
no. That is German tackle. Sorry for the horrible accent.
No, that still bothers me though. I get really upset when I think about it. Anyway,
I think about that shot that Donovan hit, and Oliver Kahn stretches and hits it with his fingertips, and he's like throws his hands on the floor. I think about that shot a lot.
Yeah. Keeps me up at night too, man.
Yeah, I mean, we're kind of going off the rails a little here, but just one thing about that game you got to remember is that the U.S. gave them everything.
Yeah.
The U.S. lost that game, but who was the ones that were lying on the field exasperated after the game, breathing a sigh of relief? It was the Germans.
Yeah.
And you remember that?
And that's the fight that we want to see coming out of this program. And I have to be honest, when Eddie asked me to be part of this, I was really hesitant at first because I'm just now starting to dip my toe back into the national team. Because the last time I went in that water, I came out with leeches all over me after we didn't qualify for the World Cup.
Stand by me.
And so I didn't want to I don't want to go back in that water. But
the water's fine. Come on in, bro.
Yeah.
Come on in.
So I'm, I'm being a little cautious. You know what I mean? Yeah, dude. I want to be super cautious, and like I want to see that fight. They have to prove it to me, just like we say with the Galaxy, with the way that they're trying to turn their season around. It's great that they're making these strides. It's great that they're having these individual markers that they're hitting, but I have to see the cohesive results on the field. Same thing with the U.S. national team. I want to see them grit out a 1-0 win in Costa Rica after the refs are against them, the crowd is against them.
Actually, it's interesting you would mention this because one of my coworkers, he moved from St. Louis about a year and a half ago, and he told me that he was really interested in getting to experience the LA sports scene. So I invited him to a Galaxy game. That's our local team here in LA. And he loved it so much that he went and bought himself a season ticket. I was shocked. I was like, wow, this is a transplant. We immediately bought into the sport. He knew very little about the sport. He played a leisurely here and there. So me and one of my buddies at work, we took it upon ourselves to teach him as much as we could about the sport. And he's been learning here and there. And I explained to him the whole universe of sport. There's club levels and international levels, the Champions League, all the international tournaments. And he's been taking it all in stride by stride. And he just happened to, we started explaining to him about the national team and how it comes together and the importance of earning that cap and what it means, to go to a World Cup and all that. And then he asked us, so how did the U.S. do in the last World Cup? And we're like, well, how about that? But notwithstanding,
you should mention that.
I mean, like I said, notwithstanding all that, he just happened to come in at a really exciting time for this program, because after the bottom fell out, I mean, you can't get worse than that. I mean,
it could get worse. Trust.
No.
It can get worse.
That's pretty bad. No, you can't get worse than that. You have failed expectations, and everybody has had their say about that. But what we have now is an opportunity, and I'm not the only one that's going to say this. I'm sure a lot of people will echo my statement. An opportunity to not only be competitive against some of the best teams in the world, we actually have, and I'm saying with a straight face, an opportunity to actually win some serious international tournaments. But for that to happen, a lot of things have to fall into place. And one of them is that this talent has to be manicured and prepared and tested against some really difficult opponents, because the talent and the potential is there. And I keep telling this to my buddy there at work, and he gets really excited, and he's really looking forward to seeing his first USA game. And I know we've been through the pandemic and all, but I feel like that time is sooner than later now. And I'm really looking forward to him to go and watch a game and really enjoy it and watch an exciting brand of football, which is something that we're really very hungry to see these days. What do you guys think?
No, it is definitely going to be exciting. I think we don't know what is going to happen, right? It's like all these we're yet to go into an organized tournament, right? It looks all nice, dude. So it's either gonna come out as scrambled eggs or we're gonna have this beautiful omelet. You know, we don't know. We really don't know yet.
Souffle.
Side up. To be honest. I prefer sunny side up, to be honest. Just saying.
Over easy for me.
Oh yeah. Give me that pop egg, dude.
Yeah,
I was gonna say we only have like one player from coming in from France, so I don't think we're gonna get a humble.
Meanwhile, Bryant wants the hard-boiled eggs.
Man. Well, you know what? We've only touched on the forwards. I think as far as the middle goes, I don't know. I know Dave, you have some notes. Do you have anything as far as midfielders go? Anything to be concerned about there? Anything? You think?
I mean, you look at the midfield on paper. The midfield looks like it's strong,
world class.
You got Kellen Acosta and Tyler Adams who can just run around and just destroy all over the place.
Yep.
You got Weston McKennie who is hanging out with Cristiano Ronaldo and scoring bangers in with Juventus. You have Yunus Musa, who for me didn't show a lot in the last time they trotted him out. I felt like he was kind of trying to do too much and stuff. So I want to see him kind of like see how he meshes with the team. He's new to the team, so he's got to take the time to mesh. So that's why I want to see him get a lot of minutes, paired up with Legend, paired up with Acosta, paired up with McKinney. You know what I mean? Like I want to see all of those little triangles starting to connect. Berhalter's system is heavy in the midfield. They generate midfield and then they just feed it into the forward. Whoever's there. Even if it was local boy Ethan Zubak, they're probably gonna get goals. You know what I mean?
The fact that you mentioned him in this meeting.
Yo, what if he gets a call up? Then who's laughing now?
Yeah, Corey got called up to the national team.
You know what I mean? Like, and I know that like Giovanni Reina and Christian Pulisic are listed as forwards, but they're midfielders. You know what I mean? So like, you want to see how they connect with everybody. I know, again, Berhalter plays traditionally a 4-3-3, but it really turns into like a 4-2 or a 4-3-2-1. The way they actually come up. And you could probably even say that they may even try to play a false nine and have Legend played in the forward spot. So I want to see how this midfield sort of meshes. That's the place where everything seems the deepest, where you look at the way that pick the five midfielders that you would normally throw out there, including Pulisic and Reina, or even Tim Weah, and you look at them and you're like, that's a strong midfield. That's going to be a midfield that's going to be able to run and generate chances.
That midfield's going to be able to run heavy, dude. You see McKinney, you see Tyler Adams, you see Acosta. Man, these guys have an engine on them, and they can run all day. So they're going to be fighting for the ball. They fight for the ball in that midfield. They recover, and then outlet. Outlet to who? Gio Reyna. Outlet to who? Pulisic. All right, go ahead. Playmaker, create.
And that's going to work.
The finishers at the end.
That's going to work for the smaller teams, for the teams that we're going to be more talented than. But I want to see how that works against the higher skill level teams too. You know what I mean? Like we have to, those guys have the engine, but they have to be able to take that and then turn around and create something with it once they get the ball back.
Yeah, for sure.
They got to be able to put the other team on the defensive and on the wrong foot at times, and then we got to make the most of those chances.
I think they can.
I think it's an awesome thing that right now it's not a damn who should we start or who could we start. It's like who should we start depending on who we're playing. Like we have enough players to play in the middle to switch up our style on anybody, keep teams guessing, and I don't think in the past we've had that. I mean, we even had like Yedlin playing middle at some point because we didn't have those guys, and man,
you just look at the roster, dude. It's fuck. We talk about all the people that were left out, and you just look at the roster. And one thing we didn't mention, look at the roster. These are all, at some point, all these players. I would say 90% of these players were all in the MLS team 2-3 years back.
Or academies.
Yeah. So that also is a testament to the U.S. program because they've been they've been building this up for a while. They've been this up for what, 15 years.
Yeah.
So we're finally, getting the fruits of our labor now of everything that we did in the past. So I think it's awesome.
The one thing I've always said that the U.S. national team program needs, and the thing that's going to excel the sport and our success in the international game is time. And that's the one thing that everybody hates to hear. Everybody wants it right now, especially
nobody's
us.
Patient. That's why
especially us
patient.
as Americans. We want it right now. We want to be
my cheeseburger with extra bacon.
You know what I mean? I waited 3 minutes for that cheeseburger. What's up?
Let me talk to your manager.
Shake. Exactly. No, we want to talk to the World Cup's manager. Come on.
What do you mean we didn't qualify? It's unacceptable.
I know my rights.
Oh my God.
Too funny, man.
But that's what we're seeing now. We're seeing the fruit of that time, and this is just really the first successful wave.
First batch.
That's coming. The first batch.
It's a golden age, man. It's a golden age right now.
I think
as far as talent goes, yeah.
I think it could be a golden age, the likes of the Beasley, Donovan, Dempsey age of national team. But again, they got to put it together. They got to put together. How many times did we hear about Spain's golden age and they kept falling flat until they didn't?
The attitude.
Same thing with Belgium. They have to put it together. That's going to be the important piece there.
Belgium, Mr. Window. So I don't think we're a country with 300 million people. I don't think if we miss one window, we'll have another one coming very soon. So don't compare us to Belgium. Their waffles are cool, but pancakes all day, baby.
Look, man, India's got over 1 billion people. They ain't making noise.
Yeah.
So, you can't look at population and go, well, it depends on what you do with that. Like you got to develop that talent. You got to make a good environment.
You have to invest in it.
And we still know the deficiencies in the way that soccer is run in this country. You know what I mean? Like it's still for profit. We're barely getting to the Julian Araujo's that are making the team. You know what I mean? Like we're not seeing the kids that are coming up from the impoverished.
The hood. From the hood. You can say it. From the hood.
Right.
Well, that's the whole pay-to-play thing, and that's a whole Pandora's box.
Oh, yeah.
For another...
I'm trying to pry it open.
Yeah. Hey, this is
won't unlock.
This is your free trial, all right? Tune into the next one.
Yeah, they got to pay for that.
Yeah.
Tune into the Patreon where we actually have the key to Pandora's box.
There you go.
Yeah, there you go.
All right, so midfielders, I think we're pretty comfortable there. Now onto the defense. I feel in the center back position, I'm just not very, very comfortable yet.
Very shaky.
We seen Miazga when
Slim Pickens at center back.
Yeah, where he was at his peak. We're supposed to be his peak, and not too convincing. Brooks is,
I like Brooks.
But he's made out of glass. It seems like when it comes to the U.S.
That's one of the snubs that we missed, and it's because he got injured. I think Aaron Long belongs in this list, man. Aaron Long is.
I think
he's
was
a
there.
baller. He got injured.
Was there and he got injured. Yeah. He's out for the season too. So that's a
big loss because he's, I think, one of our better center backs.
Yeah. And it's funny. I'm like, one of our better center backs is playing in MLS for the Red Bulls, and you look at who was it? Who's that guy that was in Philly? Mark McKenzie, who's now at Genk. I think if we were starting a World Cup qualifier today with this roster, I think I put Brooks and McKenzie in the middle.
What about Miles Robinson? What you think he deserves a?
He's out on the left though. He's not a center.
No, Miles Robinson from Atlanta. Yeah.
Oh, Atlanta. Oh,
you know what? I would give him a look too, like in a Gold Cup type.
Maybe exactly. Maybe he comes in the Gold Cup, see what he got, because I like the way the kid plays too.
Yeah, I think the MLS center backs. I mean, if we're playing against elite level talent, I don't think they'll match up there. But for World Cup qualifying, I think that they're capable. They're more than capable of handling, the smaller teams in CONCACAF.
I mean, I feel like
there are no more small teams in CONCACAF, man.
Not anymore. Well, I mean,
that's a Guatemala was never qualified, dude.
I agree to disagree on that.
St. Kitts and Nevis ain't making noise. Come on.
But yeah, I mean, again, defense is maybe one of our biggest concerns. At least I think it is.
At least at center back.
Yeah, or at least a center back, right? I think we have players that will be up for it on the wing backs. Like even guys that aren't there, like Julian. Maybe we're just a homebody, but a fanboy or whatever. But Julian's gonna develop eventually. He's no longer in San Jose, so Nick Lima I think is decent. If we needed somebody, right?
Yeah,
so
I mean, Anthony Robertson, legit player. Reggie Cannon keep getting better and better every year. So I think that center back position just needs to strengthen up a little.
Yeah.
And I think they might have to start building these MLS center backs and start looking into those, because you got a lot of quality center backs coming up in the ranks right now in MLS. So you might want to get those rolling, develop them. Yeah.
All right. Goalkeepers. I feel the same way, kind of. I think I like Stefan, but his footwork is terrible, and I think there's just a drop off after that.
He's not playing, dude. Like,
it was natural progression for David Ochoa to make it to this point. The kid has, he has an attitude to him, which is good. I mean, it's good when he's on your side. Obviously, he pissed off, the Wonder Ball in Minnesota. But imagine having somebody with that kind of fire, and burning on their belly, playing a goalkeeper. It kind of reminds me a little bit of Casey Keller, a guy who always played his ass off for the national team. And Ethan Horvath, I mean, who here follows the Jupiter Superliga?
Oh, big fan. Give me all the Jupiter.
Yeah.
Right. But Horvath actually plays for one of the top teams in Europe. And I mean, not on that level, but
they go to Champions League.
Yeah.
Champions League.
And so he obviously earned his spot here. Any one of these guys can start, but obviously Stefan is the one that we all expect to be the headliner. He won't be there this weekend, obviously. So I think between Horvath and Ochoa, I would say, well, I mean, we're gonna your lineups later on, but I think Ochoa would probably get the nod because you want to get a cap for him, but get that experience with the national team, get his feet wet. But my goodness. The only thing about goalkeeping position, and this is because I've grown up watching the national team, it seemed like for the longest time the U.S. national team had this well of like really good goalkeepers. I mean, this is how good our goalkeeping pool has been in the past. The LA Galaxy had Kevin Hartman, who was arguably one of the top two best goalkeepers ever in the history of Major League Soccer. And he'd even crack the starting lineup for the national team at a time when they had Casey Keller. During this era, Tony Mayola, Brad Friedel. Who else am I missing? But you guys know what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
U.S. national team has always had really great goalkeeping, and over the last 10 to 15 years, ever since Keller retired, I guess, it's kind of all just slowly gone down. It's eroded for some reason.
It's like been up for grabs, and nobody grabbed it.
No,
you had Guzan, who was the heir apparent just because he was under Keller and Friedel, right? And
then there was what's his face, Nick Raimondo, but he was never going to be too old now at this point.
Oh, but he's so undersized for the keeper. I mean, it's not his fault, but
And he did well. He did well for it. He had an amazing career in MLS. He's probably going to have. Oh, did he get the goalkeeper award named after him in MLS?
He should.
He should. Yeah. He should be the Raimondo goalkeeper of the year.
What I'm trying to get at was, you take that Kevin Hartman from like 1998, and you put him in this era, and he would be the top goalkeeper right now.
Oh yeah, facts.
For the entire national team. We don't have that luxury anymore, but we have guys that are playing, for some of the top clubs in Europe, and you hope that just by being there, some of that experience rubs off on them, and they bring that to the national stage, and they can really shine there. Maybe one day, they'll get an opportunity to play for, the big boys, and so like some of the guys that preceded them before.
Yeah, well, I feel like you said, the goalkeeper position did take a dip after that Casey Taylor days. I guess besides Tim Howard, there really was no real number one. And I think now there could be that resurgence with all these goalkeepers coming up in the MLS, like Sean Johnson, Bill Hamid, Yarborough. These players that are really good in the MLS but have yet to cut it in the national team. Maybe they give them a chance to start developing them. And as far as Zach Steffen goes, as playing second goalkeeper to Manchester City, I feel just being there gives him that experience. Like Edgar said, just being there and watching a number one goalkeeper like Ederson, a top-notch goalkeeper that is basically top 5 in the world. I think that also gives him an extra advantage and experience that nobody else has as far as goalkeeping. So
yeah,
I really like the goalkeepers that are coming up now. I mean, you're right that there's no never ending well like there was before, but there could be a resurgence this coming up cycle. So I'm excited for that.
We're talking about right now. And that's
right now, yeah.
Right now, player.
And let's talk about what's coming up right next. It's we're gonna start off with the friendly. So the U.S. is actually gonna play Switzerland May 30th, which is Sunday, right, guys? Sunday, yes, Sunday.
Sunday.
And that game is gonna be at 2 p.m. Eastern time. On Unimas, to the NA. I don't know if they have the same MLS deal, but if they do, right, I guess Twitter would be where you can watch it as well. Because, cable's expensive and fuck all that.
ESPN, Unimas, and TUDN.
ESPN. Oh, they got ESPN?
Yeah.
Nice.
All right.
I see they don't get put on the over-the-air ABC or Fox 11, but all right.
Well, we could talk about it later, or we could talk about it another day. But
now we're talking about now.
Okay, now.
Okay, all right. You know what?
About Sunday.
You know what? No, hold on. No, we're talking about now. Then all right. Then I'm gonna give the floor to Edgar. Edgar, the whole thing that was announced. If you could sum it up for us.
Well, if you guys were hanging around Twitter sphere this week, you probably heard something about some. Which is Soccer United Management, I think it was called. But this is kind of one of those things that happens behind the scenes. When you pull the curtain back, you see these guys. But the thing is, we've never probably heard of them. But the way it was explained to me, and I bring this up because that's the first time I heard about it. Was I had a conversation with Eric Winalda at a Camp Cupcake training session 10 years ago, more or less. And I don't know why he started talking about it, but he explained to me what SUM was. And pretty much it's like a group that markets the sport of football, soccer, not just in the United States, but pretty much across the entire Western Hemisphere. They have deals with Federación Mexicana de Fútbol, some other CONCACAF teams, and even CONMEBOL, which is South America, obviously. And some of those international tournaments that we see in the summer that include teams like Liverpool, Chelsea, Juventus, Real Madrid, they're the ones behind it. And for the longest time, they've had deals with U.S. Soccer and Major League Soccer, which is very interesting because two different entities, kind of like church and state, should be separate, but through SUM, they were connected. And one of the things that was always interesting was that MLS Commissioner Don Garber was one of he was one of the members of the board for SUM, which some people thought was a conflict of interest, but there was some kind of clause within SUM that said, no, it's fine, there's no conflict of interest. But it was always very strange. It's kind of like people say that, that he was in cahoots. The fact that the commissioner of MLS had something to do with the way U.S. Soccer was being presented. But now U.S. Soccer all of a sudden announced that they're going to be separating from SUM, and that they're going to be doing all their marketing and their presentation in-house. This will begin in 2023, which is right at the beginning, right at the cusp of the run-up to World Cup 2026, which we all understand is going to be US, Mexico, and Canada. So it's very interesting because for the longest time, we've had soccer presented to us through some. And now US soccer is going to be taking over, and they're going to be doing in-house. And so it makes you wonder, like, how much things would have been different if US soccer would have been doing it all along, if it would have been better or worse. But how much things are going to change in the next few years. And there's a lot of big money involved here. One of the things that Ronaldo explained to me was that some was kind of like a monopoly. They had such a stranglehold on the way that the sport was presented that they pretty much called the shots. And I guess something else that happened, some kind of seismic shift that, in Chicago, at US Soccer headquarters, and they decided like, no, we're going off, we're striking off on our own. And that obviously influences MLS, Don Garber's involvement. And it makes you wonder how that's going to involve Major League Soccer going forward as well, especially because of the CBA that was agreed upon earlier this year. As we all remember, the players and the unions, the Players Union and MLS were ready to sign like a very important evolutionary step in the CBA last year, right before COVID happened. And because of COVID, everything was thrown out the window. And what the players have now is something that they really didn't want, but they wanted to play more. So they had to, swallow a bitter pill and take what they could. And it's going to affect the way that their contracts are going to be presented. I think we're running up to the World Cup, but with this whole thing with something going on, it's US soccer is doing things on their own, right? So a lot of it is like people are saying, oh, it's a big deal. Well, we're going to know, time will tell. And we're going to probably start noticing things right when the World Cup starts to build up its all hype. And we're going to see how things are done. But I think it's an exciting thing. I mean, change is good. And I'm looking forward to see what US Soccer has, if they do things in-house. They've had their issues over the last decade, but with guys like Brian McBride being in there, I feel like that things are starting to shift towards a more positive light, just like with the national team. And I'm looking forward to it. So good things, I think.
Well, so basically get ready to subscribe to something.
Yeah. US Soccer Plus.
Some people were saying, one of the things that people were saying was like, oh my goodness, remember those days when you used to have to go to like some dank little bar to watch a Gold Cup game, pay-per-view.
$10 at the door.
$10 at the door, cover charge, buy 5 beers at least.
Man, you guys were rich. We used to turn on
the alley.
Oh, what the fuck?
We used to put that 10-20 on, bro.
I used to get my shit from a newspaper, bro.
Seriously.
What the fuck you talking about?
I had to wait for the next day. There wasn't no Facebook around then.
Had to wait for the article on the internet the next day.
That's how I would do it. Just go to the sports section, bro.
Yeah, I always remember going with my cousin to like a little bar, a little Argentinian deli that would do the pay-per-view. Hey, come, Colombia and Brazil are gonna play. It's gonna be an amazing game. Yeah, and then it would be like a 0-0 game, and I'd be like,
that was great. That was great.
Man, if anybody lives around my neck of the woods, we used to go to Los Pinos to watch games. It was like a little theater, like just a tiny little theater, by where we lived.
Like a movie theater?
Yeah, like a tiny little one. Yeah,
sick.
Yeah, it's called Los Pinos. I saw Bienvenidos there once. Bienvenidos filmed the last episode there once. Yeah, that's just to give you an idea of the kind of place it was.
Here we are on a podcast about U.S. soccer, and we throw in Bienvenidos.
Nice. I challenge you. What other U.S. soccer podcast has ever mentioned Bienvenidos?
No, you're right.
Dave will give you $1 million. Dave, that's Dave Orona. Will give you
myself. It's in this box. It's in this box right here. Okay?
No takesy backsies.
It has to already be published.
Yeah.
It can't be a new one. There
No. We're the first.
Hey, no time traveling allowed either. Okay.
I'll know. I'll know.
But yeah. Anyways. hopefully it's for the best. I mean, hopefully it's beneficial to the fans and to U.S. soccer, and their exposure. We know there's some way there's going to be money involved, but
a lot of money.
Yeah, so
sure it's going to be money.
World Cup money.
I mean, look, it could be a Disney deal, right? And then I think that's good for everybody. ESPN is on everything basic, right? If you have any kind of service, you have ESPN, and then some games will be on ABC. So I think that it's like the win-win deal, but we'll see.
I don't know, because I think that by SUM packaging both the U.S. national team and the Mexican national team games together with MLS, that's what got it the big money. So it's going to be really interesting to see how valuable these companies really want the rights. How valuable the rights to just the U.S. games and the qualifiers are going to be just to those companies. You know what I mean? We may end up on freaking KCOP 13 watching U.S. national teams in standard def, dude.
This goes to tell you,
gonna be on the CW. If it becomes a Disney deal, are the players gonna have to cover up their tattoos? And
this goes to show you right here how important it is for our national team to be successful.
Yeah, I was just about to say
because there's so much that's hinging on how well they do, not just in this summer's tournaments, but obviously getting back to the World Cup, and not just getting back to the World Cup, but leading with your head held high because you put in a really good performance at the World Cup and earning the world's respect once more. Granted, the U.S. in the past few World Cups, they weren't looked at as contenders. But anybody that went to the World Cup, and I've had a few friends that went to games, they tell you that when you run into fans from other nations, they always say, I root for my country and for the United States. And that's respect. And to earn that respect again, we're halfway there, because we have the talent that we have right now is getting a lot of attention around the world. And now it's up to these guys to just put up or shut up. And after what happened last time, there is no going back. You have to put up. That's pressure. And I think Berhalter has his work cut out for them to get these guys to understand that there could be bad stress or there could be good stress. You hear about it all the time. Some athletes thrive on that good stress because it propels them to go forward and exceed their expectations. And that's something that a lot of these guys are young, impressionable, need to learn. And because they're young, remember, a lot of these guys are in their early 20s. But hopefully Berhalter and his staff can get through to these guys and make them understand you have an incredible opportunity. Don't throw it away. Make us proud.
Oh, man. You made me proud with that, Edgar.
America.
So back to right now.
Go pitch that in the boardroom.
Yeah,
Edgar.
seriously.
Take Edgar to the boardroom when you're negotiating.
America.
So back to right now. Sunday, U.S. take on Switzerland. 2 p.m. Eastern. Unimas, TUDN, Twitter, I think, maybe. Well, now that they're not attached to MLS, maybe not. But let's try to do our best. Put together your lineup, right? And I want not just today, but your Nations League lineup. And this is what you do. Go with your lineup. I assume we all have Stefan and Pulisic starting, right?
Wait, you're talking about? I thought we were talking about the upcoming friendly.
Right. But I kind of want, since this is the first episode, I kind of want your lineup, going into these tournaments.
So should we do who's gonna play Sunday against Switzerland,
and then who's gonna play Nations League?
Strongest, and then who's our strong lineup going into?
You think
who should be our base level lineup for the future games?
That works for me.
The best lineup. Is that what you're saying?
Best lineup, and then who's gonna play on Sunday against Switzerland?
Yeah, that, or what I was thinking actually is you go through your lineup. Right, we all have Pulisic and Stefan, right? Starters, I assume.
Of course.
For our strong lineups, but they won't be there for Sunday.
Yeah, no, my point was you'd be like David Ochoa starting for Stefan, and then you go through your lineup, and this guy starting for Pulisic, so forth. I mean, yeah. Something like
All
that.
right. You want me to go first?
All right, go ahead. I didn't know who was going to
All right.
pick, but you got it.
All right, we're talking about Switzerland right now, or the game against
Let's go
the
Switzerland
Nations League
first.
Okay, Switzerland first. Obviously, I mentioned already. I think it's important for David Ochoa to get the start. The kid has he has a very fiery temper. He's like he's kind of like Julian Araujo, but wearing goalkeeper gloves. And I would love to see him against a quality team like Switzerland. Switzerland, obviously, they're not one of the top teams in the world, but they're definitely no pushovers. They're a perennial World Cup team. They're there every single time. Yeah. So this is a good measuring stick for him. I want to see David Ochoa behind, between the sticks. At center back, I expect these guys, and from here on, these are the guys that I also expect to be playing in the Nations League. I say David Ochoa gets started against Switzerland, but obviously Nations League, Zach Steffen should be the guy, manning the goal. But from here on, these are the guys that I think are not only going to be playing against Switzerland, but are going to be figuring in the Nations League games. Center back, I expect John Brooks and Matt Miazga. We talked about how the center back position, we don't have like the deepest pool there right now. But I think these guys have experience, and they're serviceable against Switzerland, and they have what it takes to take on Honduras and possibly Mexico in the final. At right back, I have Serginho Dest. He didn't have the greatest season with Barcelona, but he's very young. He's got a lot to learn. But I think it's all up for him. I expect him to learn a lot and grow a lot this summer. So I have Dest at right back. Left back, Anthony Robinson. Obviously, things didn't go as planned for him and his Fulham teammates. But Anthony Robinson was one of the bright spots for a pretty dismal Fulham season. I think that he could shake off all the doldrums, all the sadness that he had to deal with Fulham, and head into this summer with head held high, looking forward to playing for his national teammates. And has a lot to contribute. In the midfield, centered at a CDM, I have Tyler Adams. I can't say too much more about him, but I think he's a guy that definitely can fill that position. And then in the center, Weston McKennie. The guy's rubbing elbows with Ronaldo. I'd love to see how much he has to contribute after having spent another entire season playing alongside Ronaldo and some of the other great players at Juve. And then I know they're listed as forwards, but I have Reina and Pulisic on either side of the mids. Kind of like, I guess, like between forward and the mid, pushing up towards the top. Reina on one side, Pulisic on the other. And then Sebastian Legend also working in there. Sebastian Legend is such an oddity. We talk about him a lot, because he obviously plays for our Galaxy. But the guy, it's like he's like Jekyll and Hyde with the Galaxy. He's obviously a guy that fills a roster spot and shows up, when we need him. But with the national team, he's a monster. He always scores for some reason. He was even like that before his injury. I mean, he was destroying CONCACAF teams before he had the injury, and when he came back to the national team, it's like he picked up like nothing ever happened. I mean, I don't know what it is, but it's like he takes it to a different level when he plays on the national team. So I expect him to be there. And then up top by himself, Josh Sargent. I would love to have had somebody like Daryl DK there, but obviously we know he's not there. I think Sargent can go in there and show some of the quality that he can offer, having played in the Bundesliga. And that's my 11 right there.
All right. So with that lineup, bold enough to give us a prediction. I mean, I don't know much about Switzerland.
Switzerland's always tough, man. You can't sleep on them. And I would love a draw.
Wow.
But against the Swiss are they're a tough team. I think a draw would be good. Looking forward to the Nations League games. But if the U.S. does somehow win, I think it'll be very tight, 2-1. Maybe goal from Legend because he's obviously always on fire, and Serginho Dest on a set piece. There you go.
All right, I got another challenge or question for you. Say Swiss without smiling.
Swiss. There you go.
That was terrible. All right, anybody else? Any volunteers?
If Willis isn't ready, I can go.
All right.
Go for it.
So for the Switzerland game, I think Horvath gets to start just because he's got the experience that David Ochoa does not have. We saw the what a young fiery keeper does in Olympic qualifying. He gives up goals. So I think Horvath gets the start here against a team that, as Edgar said, they're formidable. They're they're not the strongest. They're not the weakest. Some would say they're neutral. But they're there they are. They're always in the World Cup, and they make some noise. So backline, I have Brooks and Ream in the middle, and then Dest and Robinson out wide as the outside backs. I think that's kind of a no-brainer there. I think maybe I could see where Miazga gets a start in there, but I think that the experience level is going to be important, and Ream has the experience level to kind of get you there. What I'd like to see in the midfield is Musa flanked by Legend and Acosta to just go back and forth and do all the dirty work while Musa's in there trying to play make. I think that could potentially be something that will service the forwards quite a bit. Up top, I have Brendan Aronson, who's doing really well since his move over to Red Bull. And no, did he go to Red Bull or he went to somewhere else? I don't know. Wherever Brendan Aronson is. I have the list here somewhere, but I'm not looking at it. This is how good we are.
Yeah, Red Bull.
Yeah, Red Bull. Salzburg, yeah.
Salzburg. I think Gio Reyna also is worth putting in the starting lineup here, and I'd probably throw Josh Sargent in there just because he seems to be the guy, even though I don't know why he's in there, but I'm gonna throw him in.
I can just throw him in.
Just throw him in there.
Get in there,
well,
he's the freebie. He's the get out there, kid. Come on. Show us what you got.
And how's that gonna go for you? How's that gonna end up?
I don't think this is going to be a draw. I think that the U.S. could. I think this is a 1-0 game, and it could go either way.
Cop out. Nah. What else you want me to go? Or you got it?
No, I'm ready.
All right, let's go.
At goal, I expect Horvath, like Dave said, to play because Ochoa's still young. I think he's probably just there just to soak up the experience from the other goalkeepers and soak up the experience from, I guess, the environment of playing against a team like the Switzerland, but we'll see. So I would put Horvath at goal, same back line as Dave and Edgar. You got Robertson at the left. Oh no, wait, you guys had a different center back, right? Okay, so I'm gonna put Robertson in the left, Brooks and Miazga in the middle, and Serginho Dest at the right. The only reason the only reason I'm putting Miazga in the middle with Brooks would be because they're playing a European team, which tend to be taller forwards. So I think Miazga and Brooks being in the middle have a little bit more experience with European players. Let's see, midfield. It's a tough one. But you can't leave out what's his name? The guy.
You can't leave out the guy you can't remember.
The guy I can't remember. Tyler Adams, dude. Tyler Adams is just a engine in there, and he's the one that makes that midfield run, to be honest. So Tyler Adams has to be starting, I feel, alongside with with McKinney and Tyler Adams and Karen Costa. So I think it's gonna be a 3 midfield. So it's gonna be Tyler Adams, CDM, Karen Costa, and McKinney, center mids, and then they're gonna have the wingers, Gio Reyna, Pulisic, Money, and then the freebie. Throw the freebie in there.
Everyone's
Josh Sargent. I honestly feel like Josh is underrated. by a lot of U.S. fans. I think he has a lot of skill as far as scoring goals, and I think he's going to show.
Yeah,
he's going to showcase his talents this upcoming game.
He's going to be a great number 2 to DK, right?
Yes, dude. To be honest, I love DK, bro. He's a beast.
Really, show of hands. How excited are you for DK?
You say show of hands. How excited are we? I only have 2 hands. Wait.
I mean, the guy is so he's. I mean, you saw him play for Orlando. He was a monster there. It was hard to contain him. I mean, I think I talked about it last season. How when he shoots the ball, you can feel like I can only imagine being a goalkeeper and having one of those shots coming at you. It feels like a freaking cement ball coming at you, man.
I mean, Casa balls at you. Damn, imagine
it's so hard, man.
That's so funny. All right, Willis, how's that gonna go? How do you think the U.S. are gonna walk out of?
I'm gonna be bold. I'm gonna say the U.S. wins.
Right.
U.S. wins.
When you said bold, I thought you were gonna say the Swiss.
No, U.S. wins convincingly.
Possession scores, or
I think convincingly. 3-1.
All right, I'll take that.
3-1, and of course Sebastian Legend has to score.
Hat trick? Damn, you're
coming
crazy.
in. Yeah, coming in as a sub.
Chicharito hat trick?
Coming in as a sub, he's gonna score.
Okay. Cool.
Jonathan Bond starting at goalkeeper.
Hey, we didn't mention Bond, but he also could be a U.S. goalkeeper, right?
You know what's funny is that I was on one of those spaces things that they have on Twitter with one of the guys from MLS Aces, and we were talking about the U.S. pool and how I'm not all that excited about any of the goalkeepers, and I mentioned Bond as an option, and without knowing anything, I'm like, look. Say what you will, Jonathan Bond is an American, but what I did find out later was he already represented Wales, and he did a switch, to England. So I think he's off the board. That's it. Yeah.
No. Somebody get FIFA on the line. Let's go. Did you hear about
your manager?
Did you get the Bond rule in there?
Did you hear about some? We're doing changes over here. We need some Bond. No.
Some more, please. Some more.
Welcome to the Bond age.
How do we trade? How do we trade for one of those internationals, FIFA international slots?
Oh, we can't. We got GAM money. You guys take GAM money?
What is that, like pesos? Anyways.
You heard of Doge? Kind of like that. Kind of works like that.
Oh my god.
I don't take you to the moon. It'll take you to the moon.
I kind of don't want to talk about that right now. I'm sure a lot of people don't. Right?
Mm-hmm. All right.
I'm all right.
Cool. So I'll go next, I guess, right? Unless somebody else is here. No. All right.
Brian.
I think there's gonna be a lot of people that are gonna get looked at as far as the Switzerland game goes. So I'm gonna go with Ochoa. Players like Ochoa don't play in against European opposition or in Europe day in, day out. So I think he gets to start. And then like certain players, you got to see if it's real. You know, we've seen Yedlin in the past, right? And I would say, as far as the U.S. level goes, Yedlin never lived up to it. So I think Yedlin gets that right back nod to start. And assuming it's a friendly, there's going to be like 46 subs or something, right? So that doesn't mean he even, plays more than 45 minutes. So I think Yedlin gets to start. The center back pairing, because it's in question, you still start. I will go with Miazga and Brooks. Brooks is, I don't want to say sadly, but he's our only hope right now. Yeah. So I think you pair him next to Miazga, another guy you got to see if he's real. Out left, Anthony Robinson. He's just a guy that you continue to develop there. And in front of them, I think you put two CDMs, right? I think you continue to grow that relationship. That's going to be just in a couple years tearing up the world stage, and Tyler Adams and McKinney. You let them get on the field as much as they can together as possible. So I think you play them two there. For this game, you put Gio Reyna on one of the wings. You know, you already know what he has to offer, but I know he pinches in more when it comes to Borussia, but Berhalter seems to like to play him out wide. So I think that continues. And then I think Aronson needs to get a look there too. You know, he needs to get a chance to start. And again, he's, you know, with Berhalter, he's out wide. And then I go back to saying, if it's real, Legit just he's like, it's like, I don't know. I don't have a good analogy. He's like Clark Kent, you know. He's wearing his glasses when he wearing the Galaxy jersey, and then as soon as he takes off, you know, his glasses, he has that national team jersey. Yeah, exactly, right.
he's too legit to quit.
Yeah, exactly. Like, dude, who's that DP playing there? And then, you know what? Let's go with the freebie. Let's go. I'll take that freebie. The wild card, yeah, and Sargent. Again, I like Sargent. I think he needs that confidence. And I know I didn't mention this before, but I think this is a big year for Sargent as far as his career goes. I think you guys say he ends up in the Bundesliga or something. I say he sticks to second division, and you know, and owns that league and goes from there.
Austin, dude. Just come to Austin.
Just come to Austin.
Austin.
Why Austin?
Why Austin? Yeah, why Austin?
He ends up in Minnesota for no reason.
Nah, Houston.
They got too many reclamation projects.
Yeah. Houston don't even know who they are. Are they the Dynamo? Are they 1862 or what were they supposed to be? Something like that.
Oh yeah.
The Sam Houstons.
I mean, for me, I think if Josh Sargent is gonna have a big year, I think probably the first thing he needs to do is get a haircut, because that red puff that he's got going on.
Ain't nobody intimidated by that.
He looks like the kid from the Hotel Transylvania.
Yeah,
like it just doesn't work, dude. It doesn't.
Hey
work.
Arnold, bro. It's Hey Arnold.
No, he looks like the kid from Hotel Transylvania, man.
And I'm gonna bring this word up on this show. He has tattoos now. Now he looks like a sweaty. He's trying to.
Oh, sweaty boy.
Sweaty boy. Oh.
Sweaty Sargent.
Sweaty Sergeant.
Sergeant Sweaty.
Sergeant Sweaty. Reporting for duty.
This is how things start, man. Sergeant Sweaty.
When Willis did reporting for duty, I saw the floppy hair just.
Hey, you know what? I'm just thinking about
the Conan O'Brien, you know.
You gotta leave that hair alone, okay? Because I kind of got the same thing going on, except.
Hey, I don't got no hair anymore, dude. So
hook him up with a fade, bro.
Fading away.
But I'm gonna go with Willis. I think if we all feel the you know that the U.S. is going in that direction, has to be convincing. I don't care if Switzerland is, you know, formidable World Cup team. It's not the elite teams of the world, right? So if it's Switzerland, then we go in there and we take care of business. We go in there 3-1. 3-1 sounds good. I think there's that learning curve. You know, Ochoa might fuck up, Miazga might not be it, and that's where the goal lands. But besides that, I think we should go in there, possess, you know, outpossess this team the whole time and do what we want. And I even think there'll be easy opportunities we put away, you know, within the 6-yard box or inside the box. All 3 goals are going to land because it's going to be that easy of a game. And of course, the Jet gets one. And I think, and then Sargent's going to get that brace, and he's going to rip off that wig in the middle of the game.
Ooh. Hell yeah. He's going to be like, fuck your cheese.
Dude, that dude would look like Stone Cold Steve Austin if he shaves his hair, man.
Oh, hell yeah.
Oh, shit. So when he scores, you hear the
glass break.
The glass break in the background.
It's just bouncing Steve Weisers. But yeah, no, you can't sleep on Switzerland. They're only 2 games deep into their World Cup qualifying, but they're right behind Italy in a group that includes Northern Ireland, Bulgaria, and Lithuania. Lithuania and Bulgaria, you know, they're not teams that are gonna, you know, play in the World Cup, but Northern Ireland, they're a team that did well in the last Euros. and Switzerland has their work cut out with Italy, but so far they're undefeated, and that's what you expect from a team like Switzerland.
I get that though.
So,
I get that, and I'm not saying they're gonna sleep on them. It's just that if we're gonna become this team, then it starts now. It starts now. You walk in there with that swag and
with that confidence that we're taking over this fucking game.
Yeah.
This is our game. You're playing against us, not us against you.
Yeah. Who cares?
That's the mentality. That's the mentality they gotta come in with, and I feel Berhalter's gonna instill that in them, and I think they will come out that way if they come out with the starting lineup that I predicted.
Oh, you predicted? All right, cool.
Well, everybody predicted basically.
By the way, I don't mean to push things forward, but if we're going to be looking at the opponents that the U.S. can be facing in the Nations League, obviously you have the Honduras game, right? Honduras in the Nations League, for a lot of people that don't know, the teams that got to the Nations League, they did so in what's called the League, Nations League A. It's broken up into three different groups, and the teams that are, I think, ranked the highest are in Nations League A. So the U.S. was in the Group A with U.S., Canada, and Cuba. The Cubans, is funny because, they beat up on some Caribbean teams, and ended up in there. The U.S., they had a pretty uneventful Group A experience, except for this debacle against Canada that came at a very interesting time because it was the first time that the U.S. had suffered a shock loss after what happened to them in Trinidad, and a lot of people were second guessing what the national team was doing, because prior to that they had destroyed Cuba. But it's Cuba, right? They're no more for their baseball. They have a decent, football team, soccer team, but a lot of their best players have defected to the U.S. over the years that are playing in MLS. So Cuba, you never know what to expect from them, and the U.S. just annihilated them. And then they lost to Canada, and the Canadians were like, "Yeah, we're gonna slap you around, like call you a beavers, And then the next game, the U.S. just clapped them down, 4-1, shellacking in Orlando, and things back to normal. U.S. beat Cuba in the next game 4-0, and then that's how they qualified. Now, Mexico and their side of the bracket, they had a hard time against Bermuda in their last game. They were very lucky to get a goal at the end by Antuna that allowed them to, finish top of the group, but they had already secured that long time ago because it was just Panama and Bermuda. Honduras, they won comfortably. They won their games. They only had one draw. It was against Martinique, and it was on the road. So Honduras, it's interesting because they just defeated us to get to the Olympics.
Yeah.
And that really stings a lot. And although this is not World Cup qualifying, this is still a tournament that needs to build some history so they can have more heft, over the years. But if the U.S. can go in there and defeat Honduras after what just happened in Olympic qualifying, it would be a sort and form of redemption. Now, the interesting team on the Mexico side is Costa Rica, because Costa Rica just barely qualified. They had a really hard time with Curaçao, and they barely qualified against Haiti. They had to tie 1-1 with them, and they only qualified by 1 point. Makes you wonder if Costa Rica is on a decline now, because they've had a golden age for a while, and maybe it's time for them to fall, and some team like Nicaragua just could come up in there. Maybe El Salvador can finally get their stuff together and get back in there. Maybe Guatemala can finally work up there. But I think the U.S. definitely needs to come out strong against Honduras, make a statement game, not just beat them, but beat them hard. I say 4-0. We definitely have a better talent pool than them. I think we have a better talent pool than all the teams in the tournament. I think right now at this moment, the U.S. has a better squad, a better pool of players than even Mexico does.
Yep.
But all this talk doesn't mean anything, because before that game against Trinidad, we thought it was a done deal, right? Even before the Hex, we thought it was a done deal. There's no way, right? There was no way we weren't going to qualify to the World Cup. It happened, right?
I think when Bruce came in, that's when we said there's no way we're not qualifying.
I mean, that made it even worse. We're like, for sure we're in. That's it.
Yeah.
Let's not even play these games. We're already in.
So let's
They
just,
didn't play.
let's just be aware, that stranger things have happened, but we're turning the page on all that because we have an amazing roster of players right now, which is why we're saying this is the return of the Yanks. Name drop. And I expect the U.S. to come out all guns blazing. I expect a dominating win. Get revenge on Honduras for the Olympic qualifying thing. Gets to Holden to actually smile and then Taylor Twellman to actually say some nice things and allow us not to be so acerbic on his comments. U.S. wins 4-0, gets into the final. Probably against Mexico, but you never know. Costa Rica might have a rabbit up their hat. So
right.
It's gonna be Mexico, and I was gonna say this tournament seems like the type of tournament that Taylor Twellman would go and score a hat trick in, and then get called into a qualifier and then not be able to do anything.
Or Wando or Wando having an extra W in his name type of tournament.
Yeah. Oh, that was a good tournament for him.
Yeah.
The extra W. That was good luck.
Well, how about we leave that as a preview for the next one? We're going on a pretty long. I think people are going to enjoy this, hopefully. Besides a couple technical issues, what I will address to you guys in a minute. But I want to say thank you to anyone that listened to this and put up with us and is going to continue to put up with us. I had a lot of fun so far. We've waited so many years to actually be able to talk good about this national team. It's only the beginning of the return of the Yanks. So my name is Eddie. You could find me on all my socials as Eddie Nags all together. I'm going to go ahead and pass this along to Mr. Dave Orona if you'd like to shout out your socials or your podcast and anywhere they could find you.
Yeah, if the one thing that I will never be accused of is talking good. So that's one thing, despite them asking me on this wonderful podcast. Thank you guys for inviting me over. Find me at my personal account at Dave Orona 18 on Twitter and Instagram and on Boracheks, and listen to Eleazar House at eleazarhouse.com, and we also have an MLS prediction game called Balls and Beers. Come along, play. It's stupid.
It's fun.
It's so fun.
It is fun.
Willis.
When you're in the positives.
Go ahead.
You should just find me on Twitter as Willis_89, Willis with the U. Edgar.
Find me on Twitter as Edgar Nag, not to be confused with Eddie, because it's happened several times already.
Edgar,
I have the FBI knocking at my door.
It's not the worst
Eddie?
thing.
You Eddie? Download that stuff on LimeWire all those years ago. That was Eddie.
Oh man! Again, thank you everyone for listening to us or watching it on YouTube. We will update the socials to let you know when we're gonna record again. If you have any topics or anything you guys want us to touch on, make sure to hit us up either in the DMs or on the comment section, and we'll do the best we can. So get ready. The Yanks are coming, y'all.
Return of the Yanks. Return of the Yanks.
And after all, why shouldn't we believe that? We are Americans.
Landon Donovan, who thinks on here for the USA. Can they do it here? Cross, and Dempsey is denied again, and Donovan has scored!
What are we doing? What are we doing?
What are you guys going to do? You're going to continue to be a bunch of soft, underperforming, tattooed millionaires? And that includes you two wonderfuls.
And after all, why shouldn't we believe that?